Hello and welcome to our next reflection on this inner journey that each of us is called to undertake throughout our lifetime. Today we continue with the awareness that we mentioned yesterday, the awareness of our own bodies. To become aware that we communicate through our bodies in a non-verbal way. And that's the most significant communication that we do. That is why it's so important to be able to see the person that you're talking to. Because it's not just the sound of their voice, it's not just the words themselves that communicate something to you, but the very body of the person in front of you. The saying that your body never lies is true, your body remembers. It's a great storehouse that accumulates all the past events of your life, and a lot of them will have a direct influence on your today. And so this storehouse of memories is to be found within our bodies. And that's why the awareness of the aches and pains are able to help you to identify, well, what's coming up, maybe from my past, that needs healing, that I need to present to the Lord in my prayer, that I need to look at myself, to take responsibility for it, maybe to come to terms with something or to learn to accept what has happened to me. Maybe something is calling for my forgiveness of somebody, of something that has happened to me. And so to be aware of your body is important, to become aware of what you communicate each time. Because whether you like it or not, we communicate. Before I open my mouth, I communicate something to people. And yes, it will also depend on how the other people are. So what I communicate may not be what you pick up all the time. You know, we do get things wrong. That's why it's important not to mind read. Don't be so convinced of your great intuition that you are always right and in every case, because there will be many occasions where we get things wrong. So it's useful. It's useful to have this great intuition, to pick up signs and things communicated by the body, whether that we communicate to others or others communicate to us. But to grow in a healthy relationship, we need to check those out as well. So never presume you know what's going on inside the other person. Don't presume that your knowledge is so great that you know in each and every case what the other person is going through. It's always better to simply ask them. If you are interested, if you want to be of help, ask. Get in touch, clarify things, and allow the other person to tell you what's happening. But it's important to become aware of what I communicate, because my body language will communicate a message. Am I giving off a presence that is peaceful, that is calm, that is gentle? Am I communicating somebody who is resentful, who is angry? And often we punish other people. Remember I said how listening is important, how listening is one of the greatest gifts we can give to other people. But it's also the best means of punishing other people. If someone is angry at you, or you are angry at somebody, in order to punish them, you might stop listening. You will leave. You will turn away and say, well, I refuse to look at you. And that's punishment. That comes out of our emotions of anger, of wishing to revenge, to have our own way and inflict some pain on you as I felt it inflicted on me. And so lack of listening, the awareness of how we communicate with our bodies has a tremendous impact on our well-being as well. Remember to become aware of your thoughts. If we switch off for a while and we really start paying attention to ourselves, we will become aware of this inner dialogue going on within us. Different voices, different messages. And don't worry, you're not going crazy. You're just becoming aware of what's taking place within yourself. And so, something might have happened and I say, well, here I go again. I have failed again. I got angry again. Why did I get angry? I shouldn't have gotten angry. I can have all these different thoughts coming my way. The other part of me might be saying, well, Martin, it's okay. You will get angry. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Okay, let's look at it constructively. What can you learn about yourself? How can you respond differently in the next event? And all this is taking place within me, all these voices. And to look after myself, it's important to pay attention to all these voices. Because sometimes there is a conflict. And that conflict will come out into my relationships. It will affect how I am throughout the day. So to reduce this inner conflict, to resolve it, I can become aware of, well, what am I thinking? What are my thoughts saying to me? Are they positive? If they are positive, how can I work with them? How can I respond to them? If they're negative, well, what might be the positive message they're trying to teach me? How can I change them? If they're too negative, I need to change them into a positive. And so the person who needs to listen to yourself is you. Because all these thoughts, all these messages are important. So pay attention, and because you can learn from them. And if you name all these things, you can start adjusting. You can start learning, and most of all, relearning of some of the things that we're used to. Some of those instinctive thoughts that maybe continually go through us. Messages that we have picked up when we were growing up, given to us by either parents or other people important to us, that have got stuck with us. And they may have been useful in that moment in time, but now we realize, well, it's not helping me. I need to change, I need to grow, I need to develop. So becoming aware of your thoughts, all these inner voices, is important. To have a conversation with yourself. To give yourself time to speak to yourself. To find out, well, Martin, what's going on today? What's happening? And we can turn it into a prayer experience. If you find it more helpful, then make it a prayer. Invite the Lord into that conversation to help you find out what's going on within you. Use it if it helps you. If it doesn't, just skip over it. It doesn't apply to you maybe at this stage in your life. But it's important to have that inner conversation with yourself from time to time, to come to know yourself more deeply. Also, what's most important to become more aware of, and that's where listening comes into it, is our feelings. So often we just go through life, and many of us will struggle to name the way we feel. If someone comes to ask me, how are you feeling? Well, many times I would say, well, I'm fine. Or that might have been the answer in the past that I would have given. I can leave you yourselves to look up the definition of I'm fine on the internet. It's not a nice one. But it's true that sometimes we just neglect ourselves. We don't want to find out. We actually don't want to name things as they are. Some of the things we're uncomfortable with because that's the message we've picked up. Well, you shouldn't feel this way. Anger is sinful. Just look at the scriptures. You're not meant to be angry. Make sure there's no anger within you before you go to sleep. Beautiful advice, beautiful message. But sometimes we are full of anger. And sometimes because we have this message that I shouldn't even feel this, I ignore it. Well, it's not there. No, I'm not angry. And we can kid ourselves. We can pretend to ourselves that it's not there. Whilst underneath we're seething. And if we never pay attention to it, it's always there. Remember, we are a storehouse. And so if that anger got into me, no matter for whatever reason, but it's there, it stays there, unless I do something with it. If I don't do anything with it, it will come out in my relationship. First of all, it can affect me negatively. So I can develop headaches, tension, pains, ulcers, all sorts of strange things within my body, and that will make myself physically ill, simply because I never paid attention to this feeling of anger. The other way it can come out is through being passive aggressive. With a smile on my face, I can undermine the other person. I can throw in a little sarcastic remark about somebody. I can do a little put down, maybe as a joke, because I like to joke this way. So it's all harmless fun. It's always harmless. But it's not, because there's poison attached to it. On the surface, I can do it with a smile. I can dress it up as a joke. But actually, it's my anger coming out. And it's not the positive aspect of my anger, it's the negative. It's the one that destroys rather than builds up. So becoming aware of our emotions, I just highlighted anger. But whatever it is, whether it's fear, whether it's anger, whether it's guilt, to become aware first of all and mainly that there's a positive aspect to each of these emotions, each feeling that we go through. There is a lesson, there is a meaning. So my anger can reveal to me something about my attachments, something about my expectations, something that is of value to me, something that I need to defend. Only if I take the time and the trouble to listen to what is taking place within me. And by listening, by accepting it, by learning to use it constructively, I can grow. I can actually benefit. I can use it for my advantage. But I can only do that if I become aware of what is actually taking place within me. And so let's pray that we continue to discover, to allow ourselves to experience all these things. We're not doing it just to look for anger, look for all these episodes, but they will come. They always come. And it could be that we go through so many gamuts of emotions and feelings throughout each day. And the first step is to allow ourselves to accept ourselves that, okay, this is what's taking place. Name it, to accept it. And then ask ourselves, well, what is the meaning of this? What's happening to me? What is it showing about myself? And that can be painful, but ultimately it will lead me to a greater humility, to a greater acceptance of myself, and also of the need of God in my life. Because remember, that's why we're making this inner journey, to grow in our life of communion with God. And so it's marvelous that God can teach me. When I get angry at one of the friars for whatever reason, God is using this moment to teach me something about myself, to help me grow. It's not about what the friar did or didn't do. It's not about my brother, it's not about my sister, it's not about my husband, it's not about my wife, it's not about my son, it's not about my daughter. There's a message in this experience for me. There's a message in this for you. So go back in on yourself and ask the Lord to reveal to you, Lord, what do you want me to do next? How do you want me to grow? What are you teaching me? Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. I want to learn. You are my teacher. And that's a beautiful journey to continue day after day. God bless.